I've had the great privilege for the last couple of years of working with James, and he's been a fantastic partner in the work we do in inspiring young emerging leaders in Australia to find sort of meaningful foundations for their life, for their faith, and for their action in the world. And James has been an incredible partner with me and with Karen in that for the last few years. And it's a great sadness to us that he's decided that he needs to go and get some sort of commercial sort of traction in the world, and I'm sure it's a great pleasure to his father-in-law to be that that's the case, but it's a great loss to us at the same time. And anyway, so I have had a great love for James, and in many ways he's been a part of our family, as PJ has been a part of Vaughan and Chris's family for many, many years. And to see us all together here with this incredible community from Orlando is such an incredible joy to us. All the Aussies, put your hands up for a minute. There are two things that you'll get to know about Aussies. Number one is we love to have a party, and number two is we love to travel. So if someone says, "Oh, come to a wedding in Orlando on the other side of the world," we go, "Oh yeah, righto, why not? Let's go." So everyone gets on a plane and they travel halfway across the world for a wedding. That's just what we do. Some people would say it's because we got nothing better to do, but we could say, well, what else could you do that would be better? That's another way to describe it, and that's the way we'd like to think of it. And we feel enormously privileged to be enfolded by all of you and received for these very special few days here in Florida. And I don't think you could get much further apart than Sydney on one side of the world and Orlando on the other side of the world. We are about as far away from home as you can go, and yet we feel as home as we ever would. And I think that says something about the ties that bind us together. I think it says something about the common faith that we have in the Lord that makes this wedding a very, very special occasion. It means that we have a unity of spirit that's not just emotional, but it has a spiritual foundation to it. It's a very, very wonderful thing. And I think just in the good fellowship and the company, we feel the significance of that as we're together. And you know, it's interesting when you think what happens. We don't have rehearsal dinners in Australia. It's sort of a foreign concept to us. But what an amazing concept it is as well to think you have this opportunity for the small circle of people who are going to surround this marriage journey of James and Katyrose, who come together effectively to say, we're with you, it's going to be okay, you can do it, in fact it's going to be fantastic. And that's effectively what we're all here to say to the two of you tonight, that we're with you. And you know, the fact that we can say that as a now a collective body made up of friends from Sydney and friends from Orlando, and we can say it with the strength of God behind us, it's a very special, powerful and beautiful thing. And I think every person in the room would feel it a privilege to be part of that witness that was here saying that to you. And I also want to say that we are very aware as the Sydney side, as the Australians who are here, that it's very important that we're part of that witness to you, especially for our friends here in Orlando who know that they're about to release their incredibly precious, beautiful daughter into our hands. And Rita, I'm sure I can imagine you feel somewhat vulnerable about the transaction taking place. And, you know, I'm not sure if you're sort of curled up sort of in the embryo position kind of at the bottom of your bed every morning kind of wailing over your loss, or whether you sort of handle that in a more internalized kind of way. But we want to say this to you. There is a community of people in Australia who we represent who are going to receive your daughter and care for her and love her both physically, emotionally and spiritually. And I want to say this because Katyrose is coming. It's going to mean something happens between our cities. It's a very, very special thing. There's going to be a bridge between our cities that has never existed in this kind of way before. And I think every person in this room is going to witness remarkable things that happen and travel over that bridge in the next 30, 40 years. And we hope as the Australians here that you'll be part of that sort of expedition, part of that travelling. And we hope that we will receive many of you over the years ahead. And so thank you for receiving us. Without any further ado, I want to introduce and welcome my very special dear friend Vaughan Blackwood, who we all know as VB. Because if Australians can shorten anything, they will. You know, if you go to university, you go to uni, mate. You know, if you don't watch television, you watch telly. And it's not Vaughan Blackwood, it's VB. VB, mate. Come on up, VB. And Chris. Vaughan and Chris have been very, very special friends to many of us in Australia. I'd say they've been fantastic influences for the Lord in our life. They've brought great spiritual leadership to us. They've helped us all, inspired us in our faith in God, and helped us to grow. And we love them very much. And we have a super regard for them. And I feel very privileged that you've asked me to have a small role tonight. And I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Jocko. We, it's hard to explain how excited and thrilled we are about what has happened and what is happening. Like these last 2 days, it's been like being in an adult Disney World, and around every corner there's some wonderful surprise or event or something very special. But on behalf of Chris and I, we just want to give you a very, very warm welcome. To this rehearsal dinner and this special event, and we've got to know some of you. I can't quite get my mind around that every person I talk to says, we've known Daryl and Ritzy for 30 years and we live next door to them. There's something wrong in that equation, but just about every family I've met have that to say, on top of how wonderful and extraordinary they are, and we've just in a couple of days been totally overwhelmed and blessed, and this is a very special time, and just full of so much joy as this culminates. And we are just so confident and sure there are tremendous kingdom forces at work that have drawn this union together that goes way beyond James and Katyrose, and they are certainly a fulcrum and a special part of it, but it goes back many, many years and will go forward many, many more years, and the fruit of what is going on here is, so exciting and will be extraordinary. But so many people to thank and so many things to say. Of course, we want to say a wonderful thank you to the Carpenters who, have just done so many wonderful things in hosting this larger event and poured out everything, their homes, their friends, their time. The detail has been extraordinary and so thoughtful and generous, and I think we owe them at this time a little thank you and a we want to thank them particularly for raising and, as Jock said, now releasing Katyrose, their extraordinarily beautiful and wonderful daughter, and that's not an easy thing to do, and I think we just want to endorse and reiterate what Jock said. We are so committed to welcoming and looking after her in that time that she's with us, and I'm sure we'll have many visitors who'll be checking up, but thank you for letting us have her for a period of time anyway. James, I just want to say that seeing you operate in this arena, we're seeing you every day back home, but what has happened and how you have behaved and performed and as a son has been just quite something for us to see and to hear others comment. And there's a great quote from a great person that you are my beloved son and I'm well pleased. And very, very proud, Chris and I, of what you've become, how you've stepped into this wonderful romance, and how you've brought great leadership and love. And to Katyrose and to all of us who've been a part of this, you've been the man, and it's a wonderful thing. So we're going to have so much fun. as we go forward, you know, I love being with James and love having him with me, and now with Katyrose and Chris, we're going to have so much fun together down in Sydney. There's a couple of sponsors we need to thank and mention. You know, if it wasn't for these players, I think this marriage would never have happened. And that's Snapchat and FaceTime.
Let's move it all this way.
Totally convinced that if that modern technology wasn't in existence, this marriage wouldn't be happening. I was never privy to any of the Snapchat photos, but I could always tell when James was talking to Katyrose with his big smiles and giggles, and they're obviously having a lot of fun. But James showed me a couple of photos of this girl very early on, and I was looking at this face and I said, James, she is absolutely stunning. She's so beautiful. You're punching above your weight here. And suddenly this photo started smiling and blinking at me, and we were actually on FaceTime. But you know, that has been a wonderful medium for these guys. Yeah, James said to me at one stage early on, you know, because there have been hard times and I think it's all a bit too difficult, and I said, James, any girl who will talk to you 3 hours straight, you marry her straight away. So the you know, one of the wonderful things is, again, Jock mentioned the extended families, and this is so deep and rich, and the coming together of not just two people but two extended families, and so much richness. I want to thank you for all that you've contributed and all that you've given into these guys and all that you will give. And to the Aussies particularly, Jock wanted you to put your hands up. I actually was hoping you might stand up, and I just want to point out a couple of people, if I could. If the Aussies could stand up that have come all this way. Each one of these people have a very special story, and I won't go through them all, but I did just want to mention that from Chris and I, the impact of Jock and Bev, of Tim and Helen, who I don't know if any of you got to know, James has stayed with them on and off over the last year or so as he's been preparing to get married, of Jeremy and Alison, and a couple over here. The impact of these people in James's life particularly, and our life, has been just so wonderful and extraordinary. They have, these aren't just friends, these are lifelong commitments of people to them, and who have really just invested. Sometimes I think James reminds me more of Jock than myself, so that's sometimes a bit of a worry. But these relationships are very rich and very deep, and just centered around Jesus and calling out the best in these guys. So I want to say thank you to our friends who've supported us at this time. And if there's any doubt about, you know, Daryl and Ritzy letting Katyrose go, well, we've got at least 30 of us here that'll work on getting her out of this country. There's no doubt, Chris will mention this a little bit later, but there's no doubt that Katyrose brings a remarkable piece into James's life. We've never seen anything like it in the 27 years or so that we've been raising him. When James talks about Katyrose as with Katyrose, even just his whole demeanour since he's been with Katyrose has completely changed, and he's very pleasant to be with. And he's got this lovely soft side that's come out just so beautifully. So thank you for that, Katyrose. We thought we might, at the end of the open mic time praying, Chris was going to share some thoughts and pray at that time. So we're going to come back to Chris. Okay, you share your thoughts now? Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that. Well, I'd like read mine. Oh, I'm going to move over here. And Katyrose, as James said, I am so thrilled that you bring such joy and life to James, and and I've never seen him smile so much in photos, and it's amazing. Well, he always never smiled. He was around you. He's always grinning. It's wonderful to see. And as I was thinking about what to say, I started thinking about what I most enjoy about you, James. And I'm so proud of you and the man that you've become. I love your creativity, your passion, your vision, your music, your sensitivity, your quick thinking and smart brain, although it makes it difficult to argue with you sometimes. Your love for the Lord and your value for relationships inspires me. And what I'm most grateful for is your care and your strength, your desire to protect and stand together as a family. And I just want to thank you for your care and pursuit of me. And I want to thank you too for always calling me to a higher place, for not settling for the status quo, for wanting to grow and challenging me in my thinking, which sometimes drives me nuts, but you're always honest, you always want the best, and you're real and authentic in your relationships. You're not afraid of conflict, and you have helped me grow in that. So I'm so grateful for you, and I'm grateful for you both, and I'm delighted that the two of you come together. So proud of you both.
So finally, I just wanted to, I don't think it can go unnoticed that what we're seeing here is the beginning of a powerful construction team. And, you know, we're having a carpenter put together with a blackwood. And I think it's, you know, symbolic, prophetic. You know, I did a little research on Wikipedia. There's a strand of Australian wood called the Australian blackwood. Here's some tips for you, Katyrose. It's dense but strong. It blunts tools but bends well. It may be stained but has a high quality finish. And very little movement once it's seasoned. And carpenters, you know, obviously work with timber and wood and shape it. And Wikipedia was again commenting that the carpenter is always the first in on a project and always the last one to leave. So, you know, I think here we have two builders, and in real life they are builders, and they have been committed to building relationships. They're totally committed to family, and we are just so appreciative, and this intrinsic quality in them of building family and communities of love. So I think we're witnessing a construction team, and I would just like to finish with a toast to the carpenter and the Australian blackwood, that we're going to see some fruit and some things built from these two that will be blessed and wonderful. So here's to the carpenter and the Australian blackwood.